Welcome to Lesson 3. This is part 4 of 5 parts. Be sure you have completed all videos from earlier segments before watching this video. We have tasks and resources fully defined. Now, by bringing them together by assigning specific resources to specific tasks, we can get a more complete view of the project, time, and budget. By assigning the resources, we answer some very critical questions for managing projects. We know who is working on what tasks and when they need to work on them. We know if we have the right quantity, if not quality, of resource to get the job done to meet the requirements of the work. We know when resources are going to be unavailable to work because they are out of the office for a variety of reasons. We will also see in the next segment what to do if resources are overallocated. The condition is indicated by a red human-like figure in the indicator column. We do not currently have any overallocated resources. Let's start by assigning some of the work resources using the Assign Resources function found in the Assignments group of the Resource tab. Select the task Assign Launch Team Members and assign Carol Warsaw to that task. Carol is our HR liaison for the project and will make sure we get the right people on the project, including the people the dean already committed. Next, assign Davina Almost to complete the author questionnaire. There is no cost associated with Davina, but we are now able to track her assignment. Here is a screenshot of the navigation and dialog boxes for assigning the resources. Note the check mark next to Carol that she is at 100% capacity, and our cost for completing this task with Carol as the resource is 8 hours times her $45 rate, which is $360. Staying on Davina's task for a moment, split the view, but this time bring up the task form. Click anywhere on the task form. Then on the Format tab in the Details group, click on Work and observe how the view changes as we move forward. Here is a screenshot of the task form below the Gantt chart. Note that the task form allows us to see the hours of the task in detail, including what was completed and how much work remains. This will be useful when tracking project progress. An immediate use is that if there are multiple people assigned to a task, we can see how MS Project divided that work. Another way to assign resources is to click on the resource cell on the Gantt entry table. Check off the names of the people you want to assign. Go ahead and assign June Cow to schedule the author interviews, Ray Hoffa to design and order the marketing material, and both Ray and Sheila Salvo to the launch kickoff meeting. Be sure to note on the task form how the work is divided between Ray and Sheila. Now, using one of the previous techniques, assign Jane and Ted to plan Davina's travel. Ray Hoffa came to you and indicated he needed some help with the task. Ted Partham was the logical choice since he's the other marketing resource. Go ahead and assign Ted to the task. An action button The exclamation point in a yellow diamond will appear to advise you that the software needs more guidance to compute the result of the change. Click on the arrow next to the action button to see the choices. Reduce the duration, but keep the same amount of work. Increase work to fill up the time because the task requires more effort. Or reduce the hours that resources work each day, keeping the work and the duration the same. Given that we want to honor the estimates and our goal is to add a resource to lighten the workload, go ahead and select the choice that reduces the duration and note that project complies. Once you've done that, go ahead and add Henry Marcos to the channel sales prep task. Back one more time to our formula, you should be observing that as you are making assignments, the durations are being filled in. The task form allows you to see how the work is split. You manage the project, not the software, so adjustments can be made if the software decisions do not reflect your plans. By now you have probably noticed that all durations have a question mark next to them. This is a reminder to you that the software estimated the duration by the formula. Review how the work was assigned, and if the duration is what you expect, just retype the number and the question mark will disappear. There is an option to turn this feature off. However, I recommend you use this as a form of review checklist when you have completed your plan and before you create a baseline so that you look at each task and make a decision about the duration. By the way, if you make the duration longer, you may run into resource overallocation issues with overlapping tasks. You will also be given a chance to let project know if the cause of the greater duration was because work increased or the resources will work less hours per day on the task. The latter is the default since you've already told project that we want it to honor the work estimates provided by the team. If we make the duration smaller, project will update to the smaller duration. Project will be forced to update the work estimate to fit within the smaller time frame. So whenever you make changes to existing tasks, be observant of how the software updates the project so that you remain in control. Remember how we set up a cost resource, entertainment? Well, management decided to throw a party when the public portal is launched. It would be a great way to let the team know they are appreciated and provide an in-person forum for Davina to meet with her fans. Using Assign Resources in the Assignments group of the Resources tab, select and assign Entertainment. The cost column, normally computed for work resources, is blank. Go ahead and enter $1,000 in that cell, the budget for the party. As you can see from the screenshot, the view is the same as when your work resources are assigned. The only difference is you are directly entering the cost when you make the assignment. Now let's review the new navigation we learned in this segment. So we're ready to begin our resource assignment navigation session. I just wanted to point out that I've added all the tasks and dependencies and new people that were specified at the end of the last video. So your plan, if you've been following along and doing all the activities in the slides, should look like mine. So we're ready to do the assignment, and our first task is to assign Carol to assign the launch team members. Now we can do this by selecting that task, going to the Resource tab, assigning resources. Carol is selected, click Assign, And you'll notice that she's 100% assigned, since she's 100% available to work, and at a cost of $360 for that task. That's 8 hours times her rate to get that amount. Notice also that Carol's name appears next to the bar, so we know from looking at the Gantt chart who's been assigned. Let's close that, and the next step indicated in the slides was to assign Davina to complete the author questionnaire. So let's drop down here, and you'll notice that all the resources are here with checklists, or I should say check boxes, and we'll just check that box next to Davina, close that up, and you'll see that she's assigned to that task. Now the next step was to split the screen, and we can do that then by going to View, click on Details, and the task form is automatically populated here. If we click anywhere on the form and then on Format, you'll notice that we have several choices here. Again, we can look at the schedule, we can look at the work, we can look at cost, that we can look at notes, and we can look at other objects. Let's just stay with the work for now. This will allow us to see how the work is split between the resources when we assign multiple resources. I've gone offline for a moment and added some more of the assignments. You'll notice that the most recent assignment has Jane and Ted working on planning the author's travel. So now the next step, which takes us to an interesting part in the sequence, is to assign Ted to help with the design and order of the marketing material. So let's go up to that task. Ray needs help, so we're going to assign Ted. And you'll notice that the little yellow triangle button appears. So we're going to drop that down. Those are the choices that we mentioned in the slides. And we really want to reduce the duration but keep the same amount of work. We don't want to increase the amount of work because we don't think that they're going to need extra time. And we don't want to reduce the hours the resources work per day and keep the same duration. The idea of getting help is to save some time. And again, we want to honor the estimates that the resources gave us for the tasks. So we're going to click on that, and you'll notice that the duration for the task is what changes. So now we're ready to take care of a couple of final things. We're going to add Henry to channel sales preparation. And then we decided that we wanted to have a party when we launched the public web portal. So we're going to select that task, and we're going to click on Resource, Assign Resources. We'll select Entertainment and Assign. You notice Entertainment pops to the top. There's a cost that's 0 now, and we can fill in that cost. Let's just close that extra pop-up, just put $1,000 here. And now we can close that, and you'll notice that our entertainment for $1,000 has been added. So that wraps up assigning resources and the navigation to do those tasks. Now it's time for you to practice. Assign the resources as indicated in the slides and using both methods. Observe what happens when you add a resource. Then add the cost resource, entertainment. The next couple of slides will allow you to check your work. When you are done, resave your file. On the Project tab, select project information from the Properties group and click on the Statistics button near the bottom of the pop-up. What you should see is a statistics box showing project starts on 1/4/16 and ends on 1/27/16. The duration is 17 days, and there are 236 hours of work at a cost of $9,870, which includes the $1,000 budget for the party. When you have something like this, you are ready to move on to the next segment of the lesson. Lesson 3 consists of 5 parts. You just completed part 4 of 5. Please proceed to watch part 5.